just thought I'd take a short break just to let you know about becoming a Breakout Bestie. So we've launched a brand new subscription service for the small businesses that need us in your pocket. So why do you need to become a Breakout Bestie? Well, it's just a monthly subscription that gives you access to us when you need us. There's a closed group where you can ask us any question you need. There's also an anonymous posting on, so if you've got clients in the same group, you can ask us anything and we'll get back to you. Sometimes that'll be a quick answer, other times it might be that we need a bit more of an in-depth chat. There'll also be posts and information on the latest trends, the latest strategies for social media, upcoming things from HMRC that you may have missed, just anything you need to make your life easier to run your business. You'll also have access to our client base and money off discounts and vouchers for various services we've got coming out. This is brand new, it's only just been launched, so have a look, go on our website under Besties and sign up soon.
It's weird. I think a lot of the time they think they're being inclusive.
Yeah.
But actually pointing out differences or asking sort of loaded questions.
Yeah.
And it's like, I see what you're trying to do. It's not really worked.
I don't find it offensive, but I don't know, it doesn't sit comfortably with me. So when people ask me about the money, how do you make money here? Like, where does your money come from? Like, I don't ask if someone turns up in a brand new car, how have you bought that? Where's your money from? What did you do to get that? So on a similar theme, and that's why we called it casual discrimination, because I genuinely think the majority of the time it's not racism and there's no intention behind it.
No, it's not malicious.
No, and it's choosing your words carefully. Hi and welcome to Business Rainbows and Unicorns, where there's no such thing as failure if you don't try. This podcast is specifically for business owners or wannabe business owners. Say you've got a side hustle or you've got a passion for something and you think it'd be absolutely amazing, or you see people that do amazing things with their passions and what they enjoy doing. Well, you can do that. So please subscribe and we hope you enjoy listening to this episode.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Breakout Business Rainbows and Unicorns, where there's no such thing as failure if you don't try.
So another episode of Nisha and I and our desk discussions of unpopular opinions, or controversial opinions maybe, but we're going to talk about casual discrimination. Now, between the two of us, it's a hard one to explain because it's going to be one of those things. If you take a clip from this, hopefully Liam won't do this to us, but if you take a clip from this and don't get the full explanation of what we're talking about, it could be taken completely out of context, which is kind of part of the whole discussion anyway.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm female, if anyone didn't know, she, her and all that. That when I opened Breakout, it was very much a people coming in, can I speak to the business owner? Yes, me. I'm sorry, what? Or if Andy or Phil were here, it was always like, hi, are you all right? And they'd start talking to them and they're like, no, I'm not the business owner. So there were several people, and it wasn't everyone. We are not tarnishing everyone with the same brush through any of these conversations. And we're very fortunate that where we get these issues, it is few and far between on the grand scheme of things, but we think it's still an important conversation to have because it still happens in 2024. So as a female and as a female business owner, it's really, really interesting of how people talk to me and how they deal with me, whether it's passing comments or assumptions, and to them, it's just what they say. And then 18 months ago, we employed Nisha. So
that's me.
And as well as being female, Nisha has her own set of... Now, before we go into it...
How's she going to word this one?
How am I going to word this right? So one thing we talk about, and we've talked about a lot in the last 18 months, is, for want of a better phrase, is white privilege. And when I say white privilege, I mean it because... To me, and when we started Breakout, my business plan was we just don't deal with horrible people. That's our thing. Who's your target audience? Well, actually, just not horrible people. I don't want to work with horrible people. That's how you're either a nice person or a not nice person. That is my category of people in the world, all over. That's how it works with. So when I say white privilege, I mean that I don't see the discrimination comments, the racist comments, the put downs, the assumptions, because that's not how I see the world. Then we employed Nisha, and it opened our eyes.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. So bearing in mind we're in quite a small town, quite rural, so where we are.
Yeah.
So just to put this into perspective, we're not in central London.
Yeah.
We're in quite an older demographic as well. So yeah, just to put that into perspective of
I think
where we are.
Most people, even if you just say we're in Suffolk, just fully, they're like, okay, understood. Because as beautiful as it is here, it's quite old, it's quite traditional.
Yeah.
And it's not, where we are at least, not very ethnically diverse.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, that is getting better.
Yeah.
And there has been a massive increase since when I was younger, at least. So the last 20 years or so. But it is still very different, and to the point where people that move from different areas of the UK will comment on it. They will noticeably realise a difference.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. And again, it is not everybody. It really isn't. Like, some people literally don't care less, aren't bothered. But I think there is still, and arguably it is typically some older people.
Not all.
Not all. I've had experiences with people younger than me that have, said things that aren't, quite above board.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting, because I think it's really easy to go, well, it's the older generation. You've got an older population where you are, so it must be that.
Yeah.
You've got to also realise that those ideals are passed down.
Yeah.
So, you teach your children that.
Yeah.
And if that is continuing, that's going to be, in the younger generations as well.
Yeah. But we could start with our names, for example. Now, officially, not many people know, but my name is Sarah. No one knows.
Who knows?
Who's Sarah?
Who is Sarah?
Which I'm actually called Sarah Louise because it was popular at the time. So there's no real meaning behind my name. However, it's a very, very common name, especially for my generation.
Yeah.
However, for long and short of it, everyone knows me as Farley. I prefer to go as Farley, and that's what everyone knows me as. But the same, when people are like, can I take your name, please? Yeah, it's Farley. Charlie, Farley with an F. Farley. Oh, that's an unusual name. And Nisha gets a simmer. Can I speak to Lisa, please? We don't have a Lisa. Spoke to her the other day. You mean Nisha. Oh.
So what else am I? I'm Lisa, Alicia, Rita. What else have I been called?
I think that's
loads of variations of those.
Nina.
Nina, yeah. Oh God, so many.
Yeah.
So many. And that is like a common thing. So if you ever hear me on the phone and someone asks my name, automatically I will start spelling it.
Yeah.
I never will just say this is my name. But it gets to a point where when people call up and they think my name is something else, I just go along with it.
Yes.
So many of our customers and clients think my name is Lisa, and I'm just like, yeah.
And I think it's really important, unless someone, and we've only had it once or twice in the 3 years I've been open, where someone's been really directly rude and I've had to say something. We are quite relaxed and laid back. Now, if someone said something direct and awful, obviously we stand up for ourselves and we would deal with that. But I think it's really important to note that we're not laid back that let people get away with it, but it's taken into account when, if people don't know, to me, it's not a huge deal in some ways that they're going to get my name right or wrong if I'm talking to them for all of about 2-3 minutes, like Nisha says. It's, you just go with it, because the amount of time, bearing in mind if someone's phoned up, we're in the middle of something working, we're not being paid for that phone call.
Yeah.
So actually we will just, that's fine. So I think it's really important to say we're not really offended. However, the whole point of this conversation is to point out that it does happen as well.
Yeah. And I've just lost my train of thought.
So, well, recently, Nisha's had comments of whether she can be trusted, whether I trust her, whether she should have a key to the building. And this is what, luckily, we do find it funny, because I think it's...
Oh, yeah.
It's so far from the truth of how we feel about each other and how our clients feel about us as well.
Yeah.
That I think that's really important, but at the same time, it's to highlight the fact that this still happens, and it has opened my eyes of the fact that what people come out with.
Yeah, and I think, like we said, lucky that it is few and far between, and it isn't really ever one of our... It's not typically one of our, like, clients.
Yeah.
Like, it's our customers, because there's a big difference for us between clients and customers.
Massively.
So a lot of them are customers, so they just pop in from time to time. I don't tend to take too much offence. I can very easily laugh at it, but that's just kind of who I am.
And I think a lot of it is lack of education and understanding as well.
Definitely.
So we regularly, I'd say probably 9 times out of 10, they don't actually realise they're offending you.
No, that's it. That's
no
very
idea,
true.
and they're not doing it with intention. And I think that's very important.
Yes,
as well.
Yeah. If I genuinely thought they were being malicious, it's a very different story. I think they think they're being... It's weird. I think a lot of the time they think they're being inclusive.
Yeah.
But actually pointing out differences or asking sort of loaded questions.
Yeah.
And it's like, I see what you're trying to do. It's not really worked.
Yeah.
I'm quite lucky. I came from a background in retail, so I had retail experience for 6 years, and I was a manager. So I saw and heard everything. There was nothing that is, strange to me. But interestingly enough, not only did I experience sort of racism in the sense of I'm a mixed race, I'm of dual heritage, but also age. A lot of it is age, and also being a woman. So I was a young female, coloured manager, and everyone would be like, well, you're not in charge.
You're not the manager.
It would literally be like, can I speak to the manager? You're like, you are speaking to the manager.
But I think that's the same with me, because I'm not... So I did 14 years in corporate. The biggest thing I learned, I was talking to someone the other day, that I learned I'm not a corporate person. I can't fit in a box. I'm far too scatty and don't act my age. And I still think I'm 20. I've given a bit. I now think I'm 25, not 21. I'm giving it up.
Look at that.
I know, right?
Extra 4 years.
I know, but I know I've got to admit I'm older than you, so that's...
Only slightly.
But same, people for my age don't believe, because I think I am fortunate that I do act and look younger than I am, but then they don't believe being a female as well, that I own the business, that it's mine, that it's not a charity, we haven't got grants, it's all my own money. It's a lot of that. And I think I will have questions about the business, and this is where I think people aren't intentionally being malicious. They're just genuinely interested in the business. Like, how did you start up? How do you make this work? Especially opening a co-working space in such a small village. Well, that's never going to work. And people are very, very direct. And I like that in a way, because I like to know people's opinions and how they feel. And they will tell you here when they come in, yeah, that's never going to work. To the point the business association of the village weren't keen on me. They're like, who's going to make money out of printing a photocopy? And it's like, that's not what I do, but okay, that's fine. You're not my customer.
Yeah.
But it's the same with, since taking Nisha on, the number of people that they'll sit down to just do a bit of work, like you say, with customers, and they'll be like, where are you from?
They're like, no, my favourite one is, well, you're not from here, are you? I've literally lived here my whole life. And I was like, I'd like to take benefit of a doubt. So I go, oh, for Melford? Like, no, I don't live in Melford, because I thought maybe it's just, Melford's a small place.
Yeah,
people,
very small
we
village.
all know each other. Everyone kind of knows each other.
Yeah.
So I kind of take it with, they're like, you're new to the village. I've not seen you before. They're like, no, round here, like Suffolk. How long have you? Hey, you're new to the area? No, I lived here since I was born. I was born in Bury. I may sound and look ethnic, but I'm not really. I've always lived in Suffolk. I've always been really, really local. And again, I think they're trying to be nice, because 9 times out of 10, if you sit and tell them the story of, actually, I'm mixed race, my parents are, I've got, best of both worlds, they're really interested and think it's really interesting, and they're usually quite kind about it, but it's, nobody sits down with you and asks you where you're from.
No.
Nobody. Even with, people that we work with that have accents, because they're from different parts of the UK, not often does somebody sit across from them and go, well, you're not from around here.
Yeah.
Technically, they're not from around here. They're from Liverpool or Yorkshire or Manchester. So technically, they're not from Suffolk. But no, they're never asked that, and it's a conversation that me and you had, because it's been quite common that I've gone to different pubs over the time and actually been spoken to by younger people being like, well, you're not from around here. Well, where are you from? How long have you lived here? And then, like, what I'm asking isn't offensive. Well, technically, no. But also, you're not going to ask my friend that. They're not asking you that.
No.
Because why would it doesn't make any sense to ask you that in their brain.
No.
But they're like, well, you're different. You look different. So I'm going to ask you. Actually, it's no different. If you spoke to somebody from Liverpool, they genuinely are from somewhere else in the UK.
Yeah.
They might have an interesting story to tell you of how they've travelled across the UK.
Yeah, and why
I've
they've come to
literally lived
Suffolk.
here my whole life. And like, it's almost like when you say it, it's the wrong answer.
Yeah.
They're like, what they want to ask is, what's your heritage? What's your ethnicity? Again, I don't really see why that's relevant, because I don't think I've ever really gone up to anybody and been like, where exactly were you born? Where are your parents from?
Yeah.
What's your nationality? Like, I don't care.
Yeah. What's it say on your passport? Like,
do you know
who
what I mean?
asks that?
But they really want to know.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is curiosity. It's different to them, and also
people don't like different, and they don't like change. So I think they want to see people. So having a female business owner is different.
Yes.
Having someone work in such a small business in a small village of mixed race is different.
Yeah.
So they're I think the majority of people, like you say, they want to do it because they want the backstory. They're just curious. They want the backstory. They want to know how you've done it and what you've done it. But then it's the same as people wanting to know. And the only thing I don't find it offensive, but I don't know, it doesn't sit comfortably with me. So when people ask me about the money, how do you make money here? Like, where does your money come from? Like, I don't ask if someone turns up in a brand new car, how have you bought that? Where's your money from? What did you do to get that? So on a similar theme, and that's why we called it casual discrimination, because I genuinely think the majority of the time it's not racism and there's no intention behind it.
No, it's not malicious.
No, and it's choosing your words carefully. But you could argue now we've gone so far over the other side that people are almost too scared to say anything. And it's got blockers in because you think, I'm really going to offend that person and they're going to take it the wrong way. And there are, and this is a lot of media side of things, that people are, whether you're talking about people's pronouns or sexual preference or whatever it might be, the main thing is to do what we do and to do our job, you don't need to know that. You need to know, is my customer service good? Am I a good person? So it goes back to that thing of how I work, of why we have good people and we have bad people. That's it. And it's the same. Are we good people or are we bad people? Do you want to do business with us? Do you not? Will we do a really good job for what you want us to do or not? And that's what it should come down to. In a way, yes, it's lovely that people want to know more about us, but it's how you go about that. And it's very much a relationship situation of you need to know someone quite well to be able to turn around and say, well, it was like you putting your picture on your CV.
Yeah. So it's a little trick that me and my siblings kind of discussed because, and it's an interesting conversation that we had with my mum actually. You don't realise, again, something that people that aren't of colour, you don't think about it and it never comes into your brain. To the point where my mum didn't even think about it when she named us. But if they are to see your CV with my name, my first and last name, which are obviously foreign, your assumption is that person doesn't speak English or they speak broken English. Although my credentials, I'm qualified for this job and I, have years of experience and clearly I've typed out a lovely CV and everything, the assumption immediately when you read a foreign name is they're not going to speak English, they're going to have a really strong accent, they're going to be hard to understand, it's going to be really hard to communicate with them, I don't know how I'm going to work in a team with them. And that's an awful thing to assume. But it got to a point with me and my brother where we were being rejected from so many jobs for no reason. We were perfectly qualified. My brother graduated from uni. So, he's a uni graduate. There's no reason he should be rejected for some of these jobs. He's more than qualified than people that got the jobs.
Yeah.
And we realised it might be to do with that. So we started experimenting, and now if we ever apply for a job, we put a picture of ourselves on it, and that sounds ridiculous, but you look at me and it sounds ridiculous, I'm not that brown.
No.
I'm not too brown. I'm quite pale in comparison to, a lot of other people, and I look quite, westernized, I guess is the term that you'd use. So they can then see, oh, okay, well, actually, you look. It's again, it sounds awful, but it is genuinely. Well, you look more English than you look more foreign. So
that's
you probably can't speak English.
Yeah.
And that is ridiculous. But the minute we started putting pictures of ourselves on our CV, it changed. We were getting the jobs that we wanted, the ones that we were qualified for. No difference in our CVs other than a picture on it.
That's mad,
and
isn't it?
And it is mental. And, it could be something else. It really arguably could be. But it's just that it's very strange. You've got to remember we live somewhere where if there are 10 applications for a job, the likelihood of the 9 of them being, white British people is really, really high.
Yeah.
So we would be the only foreign-sounding candidate.
Yeah.
And it's horrible to accuse people of that, but it's not uncommon. It does happen.
That's part of what I mean by white privilege, because I've never had to worry about that. I've never considered that. And because I don't think that way, I would hire people on their credentials.
Yeah.
So you don't realise it happens.
I think also working for a big company. So I used to work for a big company, a corporate company. And I would interview people, but I wouldn't always choose who to interview. So I would just be given, here's your list of interviews for the day. That's your applicants, interview them. There has been times where I have seen people being rejected purely because of their name is foreign.
Yeah.
Which is awful. But I've literally seen it happen in these big corporate companies.
Yeah.
Realistically, is there any reason that person shouldn't be interviewed? No. There's no genuine reason.
No, because if their CV says and they've got their credentials, but then it's on the flip side, and the argument being that now people are being taken on because so many companies need to have
a tick box,
as we call it.
It is literally
so
one
we
or
need
the
to
other.
have someone of mixed race. We need to have someone with a disability, or you need to have a certain percentage, which arguably I can't see why anyone would agree with that, because again, as long as you employ on the credentials, all of that is irrelevant. It goes back to my point of you're a nice person or a not nice person. So you should be employing on those grounds. So naturally, it doesn't matter what the percentage is. It matters that you've got a really good team. They can do the job they're employed to do, and they all work really, really well together because they're all really good people. So
it literally doesn't matter. Again, as long as you can do the job, it's not about having a percentage in workplaces. Don't get me wrong, there should always be diversity, because that is a great thing to have. And you can learn so much from people of different cultures. It's mental. But it's not about, well, we need to hire you over you because actually we need to make 25%. Hire them because they're a better candidate. Hire them because they're better at that job.
Yeah.
It's about being good people. It's about choosing good people.
Yeah.
It's about literally not thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
And it's not
because it's one way or the other.
And it's not to say you're, what's the word, when you I'm oblivious to it.
Yeah,
and
don't
I'm
be
not
ignorant to it.
ignorant. That's the word I was looking for. So I'm not ignorant. I know it happens, and I know what goes on. So I'm well aware of all of that. It's just I choose not to be like that and make my decisions, or to hang around or spend my time with people like that either. I've surrounded myself with good people, so we all think very similar of that. That's how you stand. So I think it's important to have an awareness of that happening, but at the same time, don't encourage it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting even now, like you said earlier, you know, you'll go away for a week and I'll be sat here and it'll be, you're trusted with the keys. They left you in charge. Like, it's like this, I don't know, it's like a joke or something. And I'm like, I'm just sat there thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, like, would
Why
you say
wouldn't
that?
I be?
Would you say that to Andy? Like, if he was sat here on his own, you wouldn't say, they left you in charge. And again, I don't know if that's because of my age or if they think I've got lack of experience, if I'm not trustworthy. It could even be like the tattoos and piercings. It could be anything.
Yeah.
But any of those is not okay.
Yeah.
Why is it okay for you to assume that I shouldn't be left in charge of a building for whatever of those reasons? If it is because I'm too young, if it is because I'm coloured, if it is because I'm tattoos and piercings, all of those assumptions are wildly inappropriate.
And make no difference to whether you can do your job or not.
And if
whether you're
anything,
trustworthy or not.
I am more than qualified to have the one key to this place. I was a manager for 6 years. I used to manage, 15 people under me, 15 employees. That's everything from day to day.
And thousands of pounds worth of stock as well.
And physical money. Banking it, people's, well-being, the pharmacy. I had so many things that I had to think about. So it's like, can I be trusted with the one key to this office, which realistically, when we take our computers out of it, has desks in?
Yeah, literally has nothing.
Can I be trusted with that one key? I think maybe I can, but I don't know. But then again, it's like we were talking earlier about the whole age thing. I used to work and they'd be like, can I see the manager? Little old me comes over. Don't get me wrong, I'm 5'0", like I am very small. 5'0". I think I was 18 when I was a manager, so whatever age. And hi, that's me. You're the manager. Yeah, literally looking at the 30-year-old man that's serving them, being like, it's not him. No, it's me.
Yeah.
I've had 5 years of training.
Yeah,
I've got
still
5
me.
years of experience. Like, I know what I'm doing. And it's like they just would never take my word for it because I was so small and so young. They just didn't, and their automatic assumption is that the man is in charge. And that even happens here.
Yeah, it does happen here.
So people will come in and they'll think that Andy's the boss. And I'm like, no, it's that one.
It's her.
And they're like, oh, I thought it was his business. Never has that been said anywhere.
But also, when we first opened, so I started the business with Phil. So Phil and I were married, apparently, to the point we've got a cafe next door, and he was at the weekend, he went into the cafe with his daughter and his wife, and he even got, oh, your wife's not here today. This is my wife. Oh, I thought it was a part. So I was married to Phil for a little while, and then I was married to Andy for a little while. Yeah. I've not been married to you though. Interesting, because actually,
lesbians don't exist. Yeah, we're about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's assumed that we're married.
No, exactly. We're not business partners. That could never happen.
I'm not trusted with the keys.
No. So the number of times I got asked, like, who owns this? Where's it? Like, is it him? Like, can I speak to them? And she's like, okay, that's fine.
Can I speak to the business owner? Yeah. It's you are. Sorry.
Yeah, that is me. So.
Oh no, I think it's all those things that people don't think about. So when you talk about white privilege, it's the thought of you don't have to think about more. Yeah. So you don't have to think about, well, what does my name look like on a piece of paper? Do I have to worry about people spelling it? Every time I call the doctors, are they going to get my name wrong?
Yeah.
And they can never find me unless I give them all of my details.
Yeah.
Everything other than my name. Yeah. Because even if I'm spelling it out, they still get it wrong because they're assuming it's something else.
Yeah.
a really simple one that people don't think about. You go to the shop and you buy plasters. Plasters are skin colour.
Yeah.
They're not.
No.
Or like when I go to buy skin colour tights.
Yeah.
They're not skin colour. And I'm very fair-skinned for someone that's mixed race. But it's all of those like skin colour products.
Yeah. But it's not.
For like one demographic.
Yeah.
That doesn't fit everybody. And it's having to not think about all those things and not being worried. Because I think if somebody came to you and asked you where you were from, it's not an offensive thing.
No.
It doesn't come up as why is somebody asking me that? It's literally just, well, I'm from Suffolk. I was born
in Bury St Edmunds. Same as Nisha.
Exactly. Like it's not.
It's just not a consideration, is it?
No,
it's not something that affects you.
I think that's what we talk about when we say white privilege. It's just the thought of you don't have to overthink these things. You can just go about and think about it and go, I've cut my finger, I need to go get a plaster. Oh, brilliant, now you can't see that.
Yeah.
Whereas it will stand out so much on someone else.
Yeah.
It's all of those things. And again, it's not everybody.
No.
And we are lucky that it is few and far between. Like we said, most people that are saying things and come in here and maybe make a conversation of, well, where are you from?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be trusted with the keys or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're not doing it from a malicious place.
Not at all. But I think it's an important conversation to have.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's a very difficult conversation to have.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think on any level, I'm all right, wrong word maybe, I can just ask you questions and say, and we've talked about our experiences of the questions we've had and how people talk to us, what's the right phrasing, because I think on the flip side, you are very, very scared of offending people now.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to say the wrong thing. It's like, do I say mixed race? Do I call you brown? Do I call you coloured?
Feel people like stuttering on their words. Even I feel like that. And it's about me.
Yeah. But I think again, going back to that good and bad person, if you're a good person, you don't want to offend anyone.
No.
You don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to you want to get the right terminology right. So you're saying and explaining the right things, and that's where I think it can be a difficult conversation because most people are too scared to have the conversation. But if we are too scared to have the conversation, then we're hiding away from it and we make it worse. So it's like this vicious circle that we could go round and round and round. So, but I think it's important to have, and that's why we've had it today, because it's something we probably do talk about at least once a week.
Oh, definitely. You'd be surprised how many, I think people talk about microaggressions, and that's essentially what they are. It's just that, well, you're different.
Yeah.
That's all it is a pointer that you're different all the time. But those microaggressions come out in so many ways. Mm-hmm. Every single week there is something else. And again, most people, it is kind of just like, it rolls off your back. You're not as hung up on it. But there are times when it does hurt to constantly be told you're different. If every day you came into work and I was like, you're different, you're different, you're different, you're different, it does start to affect your sort of your self-esteem. But again, you can kind of get a vibe and you can get a feel for if somebody's doing it maliciously, or if they are genuinely just curious and are maybe saying the wrong thing. And I think that's a chance. Rather than me getting offended, it's so much easier for me to say, you're not trying to ask that question. This is what you should ask.
Yeah.
This is how you ask it in a nice way, or a way that isn't offensive. Asking where you're from, for me, I think that's rude. Why would you assume I'm not from here?
Yeah, exactly.
Asking my heritage, asking my culture.
Different question.
Very, very different question. And actually, if you were to ask me about my heritage or my culture, I'd be really proud to tell you about who I am and what my life is like and what I believe and what I don't believe. And you'll find that most times, most people, given that they've not been offended in the past, whatever, I know everybody's different, but most people that I've spoken to, if you were to ask them about their heritage or their culture, they're going to be much more reciprocal. Reciprocative. I don't know.
That
They'll take that a lot easier, and they're more likely to want to sort of tell you about it and almost educate you.
Yeah.
But I think that's also the job of, as sad as that sounds, the job of, because it should be that everybody just gets it. But that's not reality. Like, people don't understand. Like we just said, you've never had to deal with some of those things. So of course you're not going to understand it.
No, exactly.
But that's why I think it's my job rather than get offended to these people that come in and say, well, where are you from? I know they're not trying to be mean. I'm just going to educate them and say, well, I'm from Suffolk. I'm from Bury. I think you mean, what's my heritage or what's my culture? Because visibly I do look a little bit different, and you're going to be curious. And 9 times out of 10, you tell them where you're from and they think it's so cool. Yeah. They're like, oh, that's amazing. I know this, or I've read about this, or is this true? And then ask you questions and they're educating themselves. And I think that is the best. That's the best way forwards.
100%.
Because then they're not going to keep asking other people, and they know how to better approach it. Because actually, they're usually quite complimentary about, well, I thought you looked a bit different. I think you're really pretty, or you've got really unique eyes. Most people, once I explain to them that they've said maybe the wrong thing and this is what they should say, they're really nice about why they've asked. Yeah. I don't mean it in a nasty way, but it does contribute to those feelings of, well, you're different. And that's why a lot of people do get offended. They've had bad experiences in the past. Full hands, like that is, it's a difficult thing to navigate if you do have a hang up or a chip on your shoulder about it. Because for years you've had a lot of sort of abuse. You do take that really personally, and 100%. So there are some days where I do take it personally. If I've had a really bad day or I feel really bad about myself, and somebody asks, it does hurt, because it's just another nail in the coffin of, like, you feel not very good that day.
100%.
But 9 times out of 10, I will try to just take it on the chin and educate where I can.
I think it's educate and inspire as well, because it's like being a female business owner. That's still quite a big thing. Yeah. So if I can inspire other females to start a business, or you can inspire other mixed race children to start and do something, I think it's really, really important to do that in such a rural area, and just to gradually, because it grows and adapts the area, it makes it a better place. So I think that's really, really important. So if you can look at it in that way and spin it in a positive of how you condone yourself, how you educate people, how you deal with it, and just flip it, and like we do, actually have a laugh of it rather than...
And like the same as being when I was a young manager, age doesn't mean anything. If you've had the right training in sort of a corporate setting, if you had the right training, you're qualified for that job. You're as qualified as the 40-year-old that had the same training. There's no difference.
You've when had the you exact chose same to start training. That in life is... That's
and the same with owning your own business. We know a lot of business owners that are young. We know a lot of young female business owners. Just because they're younger or because they're female does not make them any less capable of owning their business. They are amazing at what they do, and they have passion and they have drive, and that is what's important. You're buying into their expertise. That's the same as if they've done it for 2 years, or if they've done it for 3 years, 5 years, if they're 40, if they're 18, if they've done the training, they've got the passion, the education, and the product they're giving you is quality.
Product and service.
That's all
high
you need.
Quality, that is all you need to do that. So,
I think it just needs to be spoken about more.
It does.
We don't like the taboo.
No, we don't like the taboo. And we like to have those conversations, hence why we're doing these episodes. And I think if anyone wants to get in touch, if you want to give your story, share it, ask us any more questions, how we deal with stuff, what we do with it. Very much, I know there's a couple of TikTok stars in HR that explain certain things of like, okay, I've been asked this is how you deal with it. And we can do that as well. So like Nisha said on the other episode, DM us, email us, call, pop in. And
it's called desk discussions for a reason. Join in the narrative.
We want join in our discussions.
We want to hear your opinions, lots from different people, walks of life. It's so interesting. It helps us build it. And if you have something important to say about it, or you want to come on here and talk to us about it,
100%.
come in, like, give us a message, and we can organise it.
And the main thing we want to come out of this is none of those things hold you back from doing what you want to do as well. So we support anyone and everyone who's got that idea, that passion, and they want to do it. We get a bit worried if we end up more enthusiastic than someone about their dream. That's quite difficult.
Yeah, that's true. That is very
happens, true. But we're realistic as well.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same. You've got two very different viewpoints. 3 if you throw Andy into the mix in terms of from a male perspective as well. So we cover a lot of bases. So don't
take it as a negative episode. This is like a positive.
100%.
So don't get me wrong, like these things, some of the things that people say or do aren't great, but we're here, we can talk about it, and we laugh about it on the daily. Like we're not offended by anything.
Yeah. And it's very, very important to say, we would stand up for it. If it was malicious, we'd stand up for ourselves.
100%.
And actually, we don't want those people as customers or clients.
No, of course. And, don't take this as, don't say this, do say this. It's just a learning curve. Take what you want from it. And if anything, it's just a sort of funny anecdote about a day in the life. Here,
in the life of Breakout, you never know who's going to walk in, what they're going to ask.
And that's the point of desk discussions. It's just being open and honest and talking about our experiences and our life in the small biz world. Yeah. So, this is all positive.
Yeah.
No negativity. It's all good. So take what you want from it, essentially. But join in the discussion. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah. And get in touch. As always, share the episode with someone who you think needs to have a listen. Thanks for listening, and like, share, subscribe, and tune into the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode. We really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please share with a friend who you think needs a bit of help with starting a business, or even their small business which they've already got going. Please like and subscribe to our podcast, which always helps a small business or small podcast like us. And check the show notes. We all have everything in there relating to the episode which you might need, might want to read, and links to anyone we've interviewed and certain subjects we've spoken about. And thanks for listening.